Sir, my name is Shawn McCarty. I'm with the Textile Museum of Canada, and I'm the klutzy mood today, apparently. So I specialized in the launch of an app called Textile City, which was about 2 years in development at the Textile Museum of Canada. And my specialization was to launch alongside with the app the educational program, and also coordinate community outreach within the museum and obviously outside, because the app itself is designed to be a very community-focused or community-oriented app. And also I kind of dip my toes into marketing and branding on it as well, because we are a small to medium-sized institution, and that's kind of just how it works, that you kind of have your fingers into everything. So the Textile Museum of Canada has had a problem for a lot of its existence, and it's a problem that most museums are familiar with, in that we have a collection that you can't touch, and the problem is particularly acute at the Textile Museum because everything in our museum was designed to be touched. Clothes are designed to be worn, designed to be to be on you, to degrade with you, to die with you in a lot of cases, and nothing in our museum can be touched. And in the last decade, we've turned to technology to try to compensate for the fact that you can't get that tactile input with most of our collection. We have about 40,000 pieces, and then about 800 pieces in the teaching collection that you can interact with physically. But for the most part, our collection of 40,000 cannot be touched, and we've turned to technology to try to compensate for that. We began by digitizing our entire collection, so all 40,000 pieces are online, and we have Zoomify technology attached to it, so you can zoom in to extent to even on individual threads and fibers at some points. It's extremely high resolution. We've also focused on bringing a lot of multimedia into our tours, and we're just launching tours now for visually impaired as well, so trying to incorporate a lot of technology to that. And Textile City is a huge part of that, of taking the museum and expanding it outside of the actual walls of the institution and into the community surrounding it. So what is Textile City? It is a narrative archive, essentially. It's an archive of stories. It's oral testimonies that's taken from around the downtown core of Toronto. What it attempts to do is to take the city around us, the buildings, the individual people, and use them as artifacts, and have the borders of the cities as the walls of our museum. And this is essentially how it works. And it's a screenshot from Textile City. It's a map. It's a cultural map in which individual dots represent content. We have about 3 hours of content, both audio and visual. The video content was developed in conjunction with Year 01, our audio content with Murmur, who some of you may be familiar with in Toronto. And all of this content is designed to situate the museum as a greater force within the community by connecting the people in downtown Toronto with the kind of unseen history that's around them every day. When they're walking to work, the buildings they're passing, we wanted to create something that they could have on their phone, pull out of their pocket, and see kind of the hidden history behind that you would never get just from looking down at the piece itself, or looking down, talking about what's in effect as well, looking at the actual building itself. You're getting that unseen story. So the app itself has been designed content-wise we cast a very large net over it, content-wise. We focused on fashion history, fashion culture, but also garment industry, and the labor strife connected with that. That, of course, led us also into immigration throughout the early 20th centuries and late 19th centuries and beyond, looking at all different ethnic communities. And we found, while we were developing the app, that even beyond our expectations, the history of Toronto is deeply, deeply connected with the history of the garment industry. So I feel, and we felt at the museum, that the conceptual stage of an app development, or of any app development, is probably the most crucial, or the most essential. And the very first question you need to ask yourself is, why do we even need an app? And I think occasionally this step gets skipped. We thought we could use an app because this project, like we said, was designed to situate our museum, or even justify our existence within our own community by showing that not only is a textile museum useful, it is also essential because the history of Toronto, as I said, is so deeply connected. We thought that an app would be perfect for this because having that mobility aspect to it, being able to move around on your tablet, on your phone, and see the different content, and then also having a sense of ownership over that content as well. The fact that it's not just a website you're visiting, but it's an actual something tangible on your phone that is there when you go to bed, is there when you wake up, and if should you decide to go such a route, can send you push notifications as well to remind you subtly, or in some cases not very subtly, that it exists as well. So the information in Textile City could have been within a website or responsibly designed website, and I've heard murmurs that apps are. I've heard a few murmurs that apps are going the way of the QR code. I don't necessarily believe that that's the case, because, and it's for the reasons that I was just discussing. You have that sense of ownership, and you have something that you can bring with you at all times. So this is what I have behind me. This is really what we wanted our audience to experience while they were using our app. We wanted it to be informal. We wanted to connect it to a real-life experience. Wanted our audience to engage in critical thinking of, how has my neighborhood changed over the centuries? How am I contributing to its current state? Which of course lead to understanding and participatory learning. And the participatory aspect, we really went out during the development of this app into the community and got these stories. These weren't people who came to us. We went into them, and we found, we found people who were essential to the development of the core and our topic, and engaged with them. So as I said, in the last 10 years, the Textile Museum has turned to technology in a very profound way. This is kind of the origins. This is back in 2001. Janet Morton, who is a contemporary Canadian artist, had an exhibit called Cozy, which we chose not to, both for space reasons, but also because we wanted to, engage the community in a different way. We placed it outside of the museum in Trinity Square, the exhibit. And it was a lot of extra work for us, but we got a really huge response. People who didn't actually know that the Textile Museum existed, which is something we started looking at. We're suddenly, seeing this and wondering what else we had to offer. So Textile City, as I said, is an extension of that. And it was really inspired by augmented reality and the augmented reality movement, which is doing true augmented reality on the stage of all the dinos, or even beyond that, was a little beyond our capabilities as a small to medium sized museum. But okay. but we did, try to create Textile City as something that is inspired by that. So, taking those elements of looking at something that you see every day, or maybe don't see every day, and seeing hidden depths within it. So, as you're passing a building, you receive a push notification from Textile City, and you get the information that you never would have gleaned otherwise. At the same time, aside from the technical aspect, we really felt that the creative aspect of it was the most essential, because if we don't have an app that has that narrative to it, or has that level of interest to it, then people aren't going to know. The flip side of the fact that the app gives you ownership is that people have to want to own it. And what kind of what are you giving people to engage with? So, we had our curatorial team heading out to doing their research, and then finding a way to express these things as creatively as possible. And also, combine the stories that are representative of the institution, like records of the fashion industry, physical artifacts like the clothing, and then also underrepresented, like the oral testimonies that would otherwise have been completely discarded. And within the 3 hours of content on Textile City, we have a huge amount of stories that are actually now lost just in the 2 years since they've been collected. We've had 3 buildings and 3 sites on Textile City that have been destroyed to make way for condo development. And we've had several of the people delivering oral testimonies on the app pass away in that time. And so these are stories that are, now would have been lost, that we've been fortunate enough to be able to collect and share. I think I'm running a little short on time here, so I'm going to just speed through this. This is just an early Textile City draft. This is what we had essentially when we were doing the grant application process. Just basic mock-ups. This is a Google map. It's just a custom Google map that we designed. I mentioned the Murmur project, which I encourage everyone to check out. I can't get into time constraints, unfortunately. And this is the basic graphic mock-up that we submitted. This is the site as it looks today, textilecity.ca. But just getting back to, this is our graphic mock-up, but this was just a JPEG basically. And this is where we distribute our content. And this is what we had during our application processes when we were trying to secure funding for this app. And it's important to remember that sometimes the people you're asking money from, you have to ask them to dream big alongside you, because when you're at the basic step, you need to ask for some imagination sometimes. But if the idea is sound, then you'll get the cooperation, and that's what we discovered. Again, concept, how it is today. So, I encourage, if you haven't seen Textile City, I encourage you to go in and explore it. This is just a sample narrative based around the Balfour building on Spadina Avenue, connected to, a lot of labor strife within the Jewish community, and extending to the modern day with a business that exists run by one of the great grandchildren of one of the people who used to work there, Kate Levi, that is one of the few remaining original textile manufacturers in Toronto today. Just quickly, before I wrap up, one thing that Textile City does not have is the interactivity, the social connectivity, the wiki functionalities, which, as Brian correctly explained this morning, is essential. The one difficulty I'd say with the app process is the long doing it in-house, at least, because this was done this was done in-house. One difficulty is that it is so long. So 3 years ago when we began Textile City, these aspects were not necessarily the most crucial. They have become so today. So if you're working on apps, I would say never expect to be fully satisfied. Never expect to be fully done. Thank you.